Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I don't want my family to be hurt because I'm trying to be who I am. I want to be a woman.
His whole life was a lie.
I don't want to be with a woman. I want to be with a man.
Did you know that he had these feelings before you married him?
Yes.
And you married him anyway?
Now,
if you did have this sex change operation,
He wouldn't ever get a sex change.
the truth comes out.
there's more to this than Natalie even realizes.
Secrets, lies, and regrets.
All right, take a look at this picture. This is Joseph and Natalie on their wedding day less than 6 months ago. They look like the picture-perfect couple, so happy and full of joy, so hopeful about their future. But as we all know, nothing is ever perfect, and looks can be deceiving. Now, Joseph and Natalie both say they are very much in love, but there's something Joseph does behind closed doors that has Natalie very concerned. Take a look.
Joseph and I got married June 12, 2010. The wedding was everything and more than what I was hoping for. It was a perfect day. I just thought how amazing this is to be marrying the person that I love so much. I could not see my life without Joseph. I would not want to spend a single moment without him. One night, Joseph and I went out for drinks, and when we came home, I had him try on my panties. A few days later, he had told me that he really liked the feeling and wanted to take it a little bit farther. He wanted to put on dresses. When I realized Joseph was wanting to do more than just try on panties, the first thought in my head was, why did I ever ask him to do this? It was just supposed to be a joke.
Okay, so you were very taken aback when the joke actually was of interest to Joseph, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now you said that you suggested this just kind of in fun, but you had no idea that...
I thought he would laugh at me and go, are you kidding me? I'm not going to do that. Really,
You had no clue, no inkling that he would have more interest in this than...
No, I had no idea. No idea.
Okay, and but you did, and as it turns out, this was not a new interest for you.
No.
But you had not shared this with her at all before you got married, in any conversations at all?
I'd never shared it with anybody.
All right, well, there's more to this than Natalie even realizes, true? Let's hear what's on Joseph's mind. Let's take a look.
I love everything about Natalie. She's understanding. She's caring. I can't think of a better person to spend the rest of my life with. But my whole life is a lie. I want to be a woman because it's the only way I would actually be happy with myself. It's the only way I could be myself.
I'd like for my chin to be not so strong, my cheekbones to be higher, my nose to be smaller, and my neck to be more feminine.
When I was in high school, I started putting on women's underwear. I would feel good about myself when I would first put it on, but then I would become embarrassed. As I got older, my feelings of wanting to be a woman became stronger, but that's also when I started pushing it back more. After Natalie suggested to me that I try on her panties, it was almost like a switch that turned on memories for me. I started wearing women's panties all the time, and maybe once or twice a week that I would actually dress up. In 2009, for Halloween, I dressed up as Paris Hilton. For me, I was testing the waters, seeing how I felt, being able to go outside dressed as a woman. Natalie saw that as a potential for the rest of her life, and it scared her. I just stopped wearing women's clothing, and we just never talked about it anymore. Now, the only thing that I think about is I want to be a woman, and if I do that, and if I even tell my wife that that's what I want, I think she might leave me. I want to know, how can I be me without hurting everybody else that I care about?
So, thoughts?
I don't want him to be a woman. When I met Joe, he was just, like doing very masculine things, like he raps, he, watches Sports Center 24/7. I mean, we talk about sports, and not being a woman. I don't want to be with a woman. I want to be with a man.
As you sit here now, is this a deal breaker for you?
If he decides permanently I want to live my life as a woman, then I could not be with him. But deep down inside, I don't feel like that's what he wants. I don't know.
I know this for people that don't deal with this or interact with it on any kind of regular basis. This can be a very sensational sort of thing. But what I want to do is have an intelligent discussion about this with dignity and respect and sensitivity to everybody's thoughts and feelings about this. But we need to be honest about it at the same time. Because whatever your feelings are, and we'll talk about what those are, she's entitled to know about those. And I don't want there to be any confusion about this, because I think it matters to you and your decision-making process here. Did you or did you not know that he had these feelings and proclivities before you married him?
Before I married him, yes.
Okay. And you married him anyway? Because you had no idea of the power or the gravity.
I thought he just wanted to wear women's panties and dress up in the bedroom. I didn't think he was really wanting to be a woman. I still don't think he really wants to be.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I got you. So while you were dating, before you married, you shared with her what? What did you say to her?
I mean, I told her, I was questioning my masculinity, that I wasn't sure if I was a man, but she made it very clear that that's what she wanted to be with, was a man. So, I mean, I love her, and I'm still, no matter what, I'm the person she fell in love with. The personality is me. The things I enjoy is me. Sports is me. I love women. I'm not, she's the person I want to be with. I mean.
Okay. So this, and for the viewers that have a hard time wrapping their head around this, I want to clear up some things that are pretty obvious to you, but this is not a gay thing for you. You now are in love with a woman, you are attracted to women, but you don't feel like a man.
No.
Okay, and so a lot of society would then regard you, if you did have this sex change operation, that you would be living as a lesbian couple, is how it would be looked at. And so people have to kind of wrap their minds around this. I'm saying that's how this would be looked at.
Well, because he wouldn't ever get a sex change.
Well, let's talk about that. From your earliest memories, you said you did not want a penis.
When I was younger, it felt very unnecessary.
But I think that it's irrelevant if he wanted a sex change, because it's not like we could ever afford that anyway, so.
Well, this isn't really a financial issue, though. No, listen,
but that's
seriously.
why I never really thought about it, because I go, he could never live as,
Okay, but understand, one of the things that you said is that you hoped that I would be able to talk with him, clear some things up in his mind, counsel him in some way, maybe get him some resources that would get him to not want this anymore.
Yes.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I know that.
But no, I don't think you do know, because I'm telling you, if in fact he truly believes that he is a woman trapped in a man's body, and he has a feminized brain, where, and I can assure you, this has to do with hard wiring. This isn't a phase. This isn't something that you're going to counsel him out of. And efforts to do so would be a very painful and dangerous process for you. So, we've got some questions here. Did Joseph's cross-dressing drive Natalie to cheat on him? We're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of discuss how this all plays in to a marriage. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around this. Stay with me. We'll be right back.
I'm afraid of losing everything. I have 2 beautiful children. I have the most wonderful wife. And I feel selfish for being here. I'm going to put my family through unnecessary strife because of my problem.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Stop kicking me! Yippee!
They're not even teens.
She's only 9.
And they're already mean.
Do you ever think about hurting somebody else's feelings?
I think it's all right.
Who's to blame
You've been mean to everyone around you.
for making cruel
Stealing their lunch money and even punching them.
look cool?
You need to get her under control right now.
That's tomorrow.
2 weeks after Halloween, Natalie kissed another guy, and she told me the reason that she did it was because of my cross-dressing, because she wanted to be with a man. I just didn't want to lose her, and I just stopped. I didn't dress up anymore. I didn't. We just didn't talk about it anymore.
Okay, so there has been infidelity here.
Yeah, I kissed a guy. I don't want people to think it was anything
Well,
more.
but it certainly,
Oh,
you
yes.
thought it was crossing the line.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I would never kiss another woman.
Well, let's be clear with what you're dealing with here. And Joseph, I want you to be as forthcoming about this with Natalie as you have been with us. You say it's your earliest memory. You said you didn't want a penis. It was just not necessary. As a child, you wore your mom's panties. You would, whatever you had access to. You experimented again in high schools. You were
13 to 8th, going into maybe 9th.
You were cross-dressing at that point. So this goes back a long way. You said wearing Natalie's undergarments really triggered some feelings in you and kind of brought all this back into the forefront.
I mean, I didn't on a daily basis think that, when I was 6 years old, I didn't want my penis. But I never felt comfortable within my own skin. And it just never felt, I never felt exactly right. And most of the women that I've dated are usually strong. I'm the sensitive one. I'm the caring one. I was a stay-at-home father. I'm a nurturer. I care about people. I try to not judge other people. I just,
And you ultimately bought your own panties and that sort of thing. You wore them nonstop for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that?
I knew that sometimes that he did. I didn't know it was like nonstop. I just knew that sometimes he would.
I was wearing a nightie to bed every night for about 2 months.
Yeah. And you knew that?
I mean, yes, I did.
And you say you feel that you have a feminine body, except for no breast and having a penis.
Well, actually, no. From about ribs down, I feel like, I come in at the sides. I kind of go out at my hips, but then I get to my rib area and up. From there up, it's very, they're huge. My shoulders are big. I have bulging veins. It's just nothing feminine about that. I am completely and totally repulsed by the male body, including my own.
You say, I want people to look at me and not just see a person in drag. I want people to see a woman, not a man.
Yeah.
True?
I would like to be pretty.
Well, I want to bring someone else into the conversation here. Dr. Christine Milrod is a psychotherapist who specializes in gender identity, and she says she has seen many cases like Joseph's before and believes that what he's going through, as I have said, is not a phase. So, Dr. Milrod, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You've looked at everything that we've gathered on this. We take very thorough backgrounds and histories and all. What is likely going on here?
What is likely going on is a biological lifelong condition. It cannot be disposed of as easily as the panties or the clothing. And incidentally, transgender individuals, particularly those who wish to become female, often go through what it seems that Joseph has gone through, kind of a binge purge cycle. The person accumulates the underwear, accumulates the clothing, engages in the behavior, engages in the feelings, and feels better. And then something will trigger it, and there is a retreat, there is a fear, and there's a withdrawal, and then there's actually an increase in the quote-unquote masculine, in this case, behavior, where the person will play extra football, where the person will engage more masculine behaviors and engage in more masculine activities, because the person simply has so much fear, so much shame, and above all, fear of loss, fear of losing loved ones. And in this case, Joseph has tremendous fear of losing his wife.
Joseph, tell me what you're thinking right now.
I'm afraid of losing everything. I have 2 beautiful children. I have the most wonderful wife. And I cannot imagine. I feel selfish for being here. I feel like I'm going to put my family through unnecessary strife because of my problem. I don't want my family to be hurt because I'm trying to be who I am. I would rather everyone be happy and be miserable myself.
Well, there's a high cost that comes with both sides of this, and we're going to talk about that after the break. Now, if Joseph chooses to move forward and transition, is he right? I mean, do you lose the people you love? Would Natalie be gone from his life? What would his children say? What would the community say? I mean, we're on national television talking about this. Both sides come with a price. I'll talk about each side when we come back. If he said, I'm going to go through this transition, and he did have the surgery, take the hormones, and begin to live as a woman, you're saying this is not a relationship that you would want to be in. And later, when you got married, the lie you said is Deborah was really wife number 1. So that would make Jody number 2.
No.
1.
So who's wife number 2?
Amber.
So wife number 3 is Jody. So now number 4 is you. So you're moving down. And then there were 3 kids that you didn't know about.
Correct.
There's nothing scarier to me than hurting my children. And I know every day when I wake up that if I just come out and tell people who I really am, that I'm going to do exactly that. I don't know how to live with that.
Well, I'm here with Joseph and Natalie. There's an issue on the table, and look, I want to be sure that you get the 2 sides of this. You are quite right. Natalie, I don't know where you would be. If he said, I'm going to go through this transition, and he did have the surgery, take the hormones, and begin to live as a woman, you're saying this is not a relationship that you would want to be in a romantic sense.
Yeah, I would not be physically attracted to him anymore.
Doesn't mean you wouldn't like him as a person.
I love him as a...
Yeah, okay. But, you know, here's what we're talking about, and so people understand, and, you know, Doctor, grade my paper and help me out here because you deal with this every day. You know, we have an assigned sex at birth, and that's generally based on our external genitalia. It doesn't mean that our brain necessarily comports with that. The manner in which it's hardwired and programmed. So you can have your assigned sex, and then you have a gender identity. And what you're saying here is that your gender identity, what you feel like inside, is different from your assigned sex.
Yeah.
And I said there are costs on both sides. You've articulated the risk of making the change. But I can tell you, after spending 35 years in the mental health profession, that to deny yourself that if in fact your gender identity is a woman, you're going to experience depression. I think you already are. You're going to experience anxiety, which you already are. You're going to experience guilt and shame, which you already are. And you're going to be a high suicide risk because it gets to the point that you just can't imagine going on trapped inside, and I'm guessing that thought has already crossed your mind.
No, I'm just scared of that thought crossing my mind because I'm terrified to die.
Well, that's a good thing, because I don't want that.
I don't want
to happen for you.
To get to that point,
But denying that gender identity has a high cost. Add to what I'm saying, or
frequently thoughts of transitioning for the non-yet transitioning individual become almost obsessive. And that's even at a cost of being productive in the workplace, because the individual cannot stop the thoughts. They will circulate, and the individual will fixate and fixate and fixate on it. And all of a sudden, the only thing that matters is the transitioning. And so how can you be an effective parent? How can you be an effective husband? How can you be effective on the workplace? It's very difficult.
And here's the thing. What we're telling you is this is something that he needs to investigate fully and completely without shame and guilt. You owe it to yourself to truly, truly investigate this. And you don't just wake up one day and say, well, I think I'll have a sex change operation. And somebody says, well, fine, get the snippers and here we go. That's not how that works. Responsible professionals that do this is a long, drawn-out process of psychotherapy, self-examination. You'll wax and wane during that time about what you want. Then you may go through some type of hormonal therapies and treatments. It is a long process, but you cannot continue to deny this, and you are entitled to know everything that's going on with him about this. Because if this is where he is, and this is where he wants to go, and that is incongruent with who you are and what you feel and what you want, the sooner you know that and embrace that, the better off you are. Knowing it now 6 months in is better than knowing it 6 years in. And you owe it to her to be completely and fully honest about this. And then you owe it to yourself to investigate this fully and completely and make a decision with the help of professionals about what you need to do here. And listen, this has nothing to do with you. Zip, zero, not and yet. This has nothing to do with you. This was set in motion long before he ever met you. And that might make it a little easier, but I know this isn't going to be easy. But and you have to have some help through this process as well. And so we're going to sit down and talk about all that. Fair enough?
That's why I want us to be where we need to be.
Wherever that is. And you understand that may not be together in a marriage, but if that's the reality, then that's what you need to get on the table and deal with. Fair enough? And we'll get you some help to think through this and talk through this.
Just can't imagine losing her. I can't even. I don't want to think about that.
But you realize that is a possibility here, and in fact it's more than a possibility if you go in this direction. But this is not something to be decided here now. This is something to be decided with appropriate professionals to help you go through this, that have been through this many, many times. We're going to make sure that you have that help. Next, he told her she was his second wife. Turns out that wasn't exactly right. And that's not all he lied about. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
My husband told me that he'd been married once before and that he had 2 little girls. That was a lie. I found out that there was another wife. Everyone knew except for me.
Well, we're talking about living with secrets, lies, and regrets, and they can be involving all types of things, and I want you at home to weigh in. I've got a conversation that's going on right now on both drphil.com and my Facebook page. What would you do if you found out that your spouse was lying to you? Now, I don't mean just like, oh, I'm on the way home, when in fact they haven't quite loaded the car yet. I'm talking about something material. Log on now, tell me what you think. Now, Carrie is here, and she wants my opinion on what she should do because she has caught her husband, Ed, in not just one lie, but lie after lie after lie. Take a look.
I met my husband, Ed, 7.5 years ago, and I thought he was an awesome guy. He told me that he'd been married once before and that he had 2 little girls. That was a lie. When our son was 8 months old, I found out that Ed didn't just have one ex-wife. He had another ex-wife that I didn't know about. He didn't just have 2 children, he had 3 more children and 5 grandchildren. When I confronted Ed, he admitted it. At that time, I asked him, was there anything else I needed to know about? He reassured me there was absolutely nothing. That was a lie. I found out that there was another wife. Everyone knew except for me. I found out that Ed told his 2 daughters that when they met me not to tell me about their other siblings. When I found out about all this, my world fell apart. The Ed that I fell in love with, he didn't exist. I don't know him, and I don't like him. If this is who he really is, I'm afraid our marriage won't survive. I want Dr. Phil to help us because he is going to be making my son's life better. We're our partners in raising our child. That's not a marriage.
Listen, I want to get this right. I want to be sure that I've got it right. And I started to write it down on a card, and I couldn't get it straight. Because when you got married, the lie you said is that you were number 2.
2.
Right.
Okay, so that wife number 2 was you, because there was a wife number 1, and that was Jody.
Right.
Correct.
Right? I mean, that's what you say.
Yes.
Okay, then in January, you found out that Deborah was really wife number 1.
Right.
Okay, so really it's not Jody. Wife number 1 is Deborah.
Correct.
Okay, so that would make Jody number 2.
No.
Well, that's at that time, that's what you understood, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get this out. So now Jody moves down to wife number 2, and you're wife number 3. Because Deborah's now wife number 1, right? And so that's a lie you told. But then, that was in January. But then in March, you found out that Deborah was really wife number 2.
No.
1.
Deborah's not number 1.
Deborah's still number 1?
Yes.
Deborah's still number 1.
Okay, so who's wife number 2?
Amber.
Pardon me?
Amber.
So wife number 2 is Amber,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay, so it's not Jody,
No.
it's Amber.
Correct.
Okay, so then wife number 3 is who?
Jody.
That's Jody.
Yes.
Okay, so you're moving down. So wife number 3 is Jody.
Correct.
So now number 4 is you.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
But all you told her about was Jody.
The life before Jody didn't exist.
Okay, and then there were 3 kids that you didn't know about.
Correct.
And is there
And
more?
they have 5 grandchildren together.
Okay, and then they have 5 grandkids.
Right.
Okay.
At the time, when we were getting to know each other, I had just retired out of the military. And I had lost track of Mike, Jen, and Sarah, who are the 3 children from Deb. And I was very ashamed of that.
And so since you had lost contact with him, you just erase him from the history?
Yeah, yes, it happened. It came out. I regretted it, but it did come out, yes.
So what did you think when you found out about this?
I didn't believe it at first.
Who told you?
I found out through Facebook. It's amazing what you find on the internet.
Isn't it, though? So you went to whose Facebook account?
His daughters, whenever they're friends of mine on Facebook, so whenever a photo is tagged with their name, it comes up on my page. And Jody, the ex-wife I knew of, had put a photo of them at Christmas.
So Jody knew?
For the year. They found Jody about a year before I found out about them.
Okay. So, well, I'm lost here. No, I'm serious. You knew about Jody?
Yeah, I did.
But Jody knew about Amber and Deborah?
Yes.
And she knew about these 3 children? Mm-hmm. Did these 2 kids know about these 3?
Not at first.
They
but they knew before
did.
you knew?
Yes.
Yeah, they knew before Carrie did, yes.
Well, hell, everybody knew but you.
Exactly.
What? How? Did you start asking these daughters questions?
No. Not about the other kids. You let kids be kids. You don't involve them in adult situations.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
No, you're not supposed to.
No, I understand. All right, let's take a break. Let me take a deep breath, and we'll be right back. I'm here with Ed and Carrie, and today we're talking about secrets, lies, and regrets. Look, everybody lies. I mean, they do. We tell white lies. We lie by omission. We leave things out. But then there are material lies that go into the substance, core, and foundation of a relationship. Now, Carrie, you feel like these omissions are material.
Yes.
And you say that you left these out just out of shame and guilt.
Yes.
Help me understand your thought process at that point. You say, I'm ashamed of this. I'm not proud of it. I feel guilty about it. And so the remedy for those bad feelings is to deceive the woman that I love and am married to. How does that square up in your mind?
It doesn't.
Well, it did.
It was very wrong.
But it did.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, at the time, how did you square this up?
I had plenty of opportunities in our relationship to tell her, and I didn't. You tell one lie and you keep going, and there's more and more, and you know you're covering it up. And
do you think he's being truthful and forthcoming with you now?
I love him. I don't know. I don't know, because every time I believed him in the past, something else would come up.
Well, what about this $70,000 in the retirement
That's what
account?
I estimated. And after I discovered about the other wives and the other children, he let me know that that money all along had been going to help pay for child support on all 5 children. And I was able to track back about 9 months. The account only showed 9 months worth of transactions, and a lot of them were local withdrawals. And that's where the $9,000 of it, I asked him where that went. And that's when he told me some of it was for scratch-off tickets, some was for hunting, some was for his laptop, just this, that, and the other, and he couldn't really tell me where it all went. He don't remember where it all went.
Do you believe that?
I don't know. I don't. The logical part of me says you're an idiot if you believe that, but the part that loves him says, you know, maybe it's true.
You're lying about that too, right?
no, I played golf, I hunted, I bought guns, I bought laptops. I mean,
but you found what, a couple hundred scratch-off tickets?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I bought a
in
lot
the
of
car?
scratch-offs.
About $210 scratch-off tickets.
And you told them they were for some. You told her they were for somebody else.
Half of them, he said, he got from work.
Yeah, I
from guys
collected a
at
bunch
work.
of them from work. Yeah, because I had hit what did we hit, a $5,000
You had a
scratch-off?
$5,000 scratch-off
And
ticket.
in order to negate that on taxes, you've got to have a tax write-off. So, you know, we were collecting them at work. I mean, it's no big deal. I did do a lot of lottery tickets, so yes.
I never agreed with lotto tickets.
No, you didn't.
I was totally against them from the very beginning.
Okay.
I don't believe in gambling.
So your reasoning was that is you won a $5,000 ticket, so you went around and collected them from other people to commit tax fraud.
That's it. Yeah.
Wait a second. Explain this to me.
Well, no, I mean,
I didn't think of it that way, but...
You didn't think of it, but come on. That's what I'm trying to say here. He just told me, just as like, well, Dr. Phil, I mean, come on. I had a tax liability, so I went and collected a bunch of other tickets from other people so I could...
I threw them away, so...
Well, you threw away his deduction.
Are we going to get audited now from this?
Do you get that it was just like, well, come on, I just went and got other people's tickets so I could show that my cost in the $5,000 winning was $5,000, right?
No, yeah. I mean...
But that's not what you told me.
What'd I tell you?
You told me that a lot of times there's like a second chance on these scratch-off tickets.
Yeah, you mail some in sometimes.
Right,
I mean,
and you said also that sometimes they miss them, and you might catch it and maybe a winner ticket.
Okay. Come on, you just heard what he told me.
I pick my battles. It's not worth the stress sometimes. I've got a baby.
I understand. I'm not talking about for the substantive nature of it. Right. I'm talking about the fact that he had a tax liability, and so his natural thing to do was just lie about it.
I had no idea.
Well, now you do.
Yeah, I do.
All right. So can Carrie ever trust Ed again? Should she? I'm going to tell him what I think's going on here, and I do have an opinion when we come back. I'm here with Ed and Carrie, and we're talking about secrets, lies, and regrets. What else are you lying about?
Nothing. She has access to everything.
Do you have a problem with lying?
No. I mean, you tell one lie and you build off of it. I mean, to keep that one lie intact. I don't lie to her on a daily basis.
So basically, you've told one lie, and all the rest of it is in support of that lie.
Right, it's just built and became a snowball, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger.
Well, as that snowball was rolling down the hill, did it ever occur to you that, you know what, I need to stop the damage here?
Yes.
I failed to tell her about 2 wives, 3 kids, and 5 grandchildren.
We didn't know about the grandchildren at the time. I mean, I had lost track of them.
Well, that happens.
Right.
That happens.
He found out about the grandchildren a year before I found out about the grandchildren.
So what ask me a question. How can I help you?
No offense. Can you fix them?
Just put him in the shop and tune him up. Do you have a question for me?
How do I get my wife back, my family back?
I don't trust them. And if you don't have trust, you don't have foundation.
Yeah. Well, you're not trustworthy, right?
How do I build that back? How do I get that?
First off, you have to make a decision whether or not you're willing to invest more in this, because what you have here is a chronic liar. And that's not going to go away just because he says, okay, you caught me, so I guess I'll start telling the truth. I mean, that's not how this works. You've got to re-examine some values here. You got to come up with a new strategy. And
how does he do that?
Well, it's not easy, because this is a long, deeply entrenched pattern with you. Just like we have a perfect working example with a lottery ticket. Mm-hmm. He just, I don't know if he's just trying to cover a lie, that he didn't want to tell you that he bought $2,000 worth of lottery tickets. So he said, well, actually half of them I got from somebody else. Who knows? Who knows whether he bought 2,000? Who knows whether the whole 9,000 went to him or not, and you only found a little bit of them.
Right.
But he came up with a good explanation. He thought, well, this was actually what I needed to perpetrate a fraud on the federal government. That just seemed like a good choice. I don't believe that'd been the choice I would have made on national television, but to you, it seemed like a good idea at the time, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the truth?
Yes, it is.
You did get those from people?
Some of them, yes.
The whole point is I've got a 17-month-old son.
Yeah, with him.
And we got to fix this, because he deserves it.
Yeah. And y'all do make very cute babies, I'll give you that.
Thank you.
You love this child?
Yes.
And you want to be there for him?
Yes.
Then you got some cleaning up to do, because this is as natural to him as falling off a log.
And I'm holding on for dear life, hoping he'll change.
Well, it just depends on whether he's willing to do the work to do it or not. But you need you need help with this. You need to be in some ongoing therapy where people have you reset the bar on what's acceptable and what's not in your behavior. Now, I can help you do that. I mean, I hope I'm giving you a wake-up call here that this is not a way to go.
Yes.
Have I got your attention here? Because, and here's the thing about being a liar, you're not a very good one. Which is actually good. But you're not a very good liar because you don't have a real good memory about what you said to who about what, and your logic doesn't hold water, and you need to give it up and just, because you get to a point where you just say, you know what, I'm just going to tell the truth. What are they going to do to me now? I mean, the hell, it's out there.
Well, as far as I know, for the last quite a while, he'll tell me the truth, even though it about kills him.
Well,
you can see it.
But you don't know that. You don't know that.
No, that's my problem.
But if I arrange for you to have some professional help with this, will you commit to it and
100%
and throw yourself into it? Because I will do that.
Yes.
And this is fixable.
Good.
This is a fixable flaw, but it is a flaw nonetheless. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rabbi. I want to thank all of my guests for being here today. Sometimes you just never know what you're going to deal with when you start talking to people. But, you know, life is about a lot of different avenues, and I really encourage all of you, myself, you, everybody, to take a deep breath before we jump to judge. I want to really thank Dr. Christine Milrod for being here. If you're living a secret or a lie, you want my help moving past it, you can log on to drphil.com and tell me your story. Promise you I'll tell you the truth as I see it so you don't have to guess at it. Thanks for being here. So long.
Memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive, call it.
Every day and night, that's right. Ooh, you know we gon'